Hello, welcome to VA NEET Academy for NEET Aspirants, where we simplify biology, chemistry, and physics through concept based learning, MCQs, and previous year questions. Welcome. Hello, students. Welcome to our channel. Today, we are starting with a very important topic for NEET Biology, cell, the basic unit of life. Now, this forms the foundation for many topics like physiology, genetics, biotechnology, and many more topics. Let's begin. So, let's begin with the cell. Cell. The basic unit of life. Okay, now that's what the definition or is the topic title is of today. Okay, so if I ask you, what is a cell? What is a cell? How will you define it? Most essentially, it is the structural and functional unit, isn't it, of course, life. Secondly, you can also say that all living organisms are made of cells. Yes, all living organisms are made of cells. You can also define a cell as the unit which performs all essential processes. Yes, so this is the basic definition. If anyone asks you, you can say. Okay, now if I ask you to draw a simple structure of a cell, now let's begin with drawing the plant cell. Okay, a plant cell. So basically, what do you know about a plant cell? If I start drawing, I'm sure you will be able to let me know what is it and help me label it. Now this is your cell membrane, okay, the basic simple plant cell, and of course, being a cell, it contains a nucleus. Okay, now because it is a plant cell, I have to draw something called as vacuoles. Okay, now because it is a plant cell, I have to draw something called as chloroplast, isn't it? All of us know plant cells have chloroplast in them, isn't it? Which is the green color of the plants is because of this chloroplast. And of course, the major part is your one more protective layer in a cell called as, of course, you know, the cell wall, which every plant cell has, the basic plant cell, isn't it? Yeah. Now this is the basic plant cell, isn't it? Now help me out, label it again. So this becomes your cell membrane. This becomes your cell wall. This is your, I hope everyone is saying it, chloroplast. And this one is your vacuoles. And of course, the one left out, the major brain of a cell, you can say, the nucleus. Okay, so this is how your basic cell structure would be. Apart from that, you can also find the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, ribosomes, nucleolus, etc. etc. We'll proceed through all this slowly as we proceed with our classes. Okay. Now let's move on to a very important theory of a cell, which we call it as a very commonly theory of cell called as cell theory. Okay. Cell theory. Now of course, now what does it state? Let us first begin with what does the cell theory states, right? So first point it says is all living organisms are made up of one or more cells. All living organisms are made up of one or more cells, right? Now when I say this, one or more, what do you mean by one? One, for example, a simple bacteria may be made up of one cell, and if I say one or more, we will talk about a multicellular organisms like plants and animals. Okay, so these are made up of multicellular organisms, cells. Okay. Now this is the first statement of a cell theory, that all living organisms are made up of one or more cells. Now the second statement of a cell theory is the cell is the basic structural and function unit of life. The cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life, right? Now when I say this, without cell there is no structure, without cell there is no function. Okay, so cell performs all function, cell gives us the structure as well. Okay, now let us come to the third statement of cell theory, which is, it states that all the cells arises from the pre-existing cells. Now this is what it says, all the cells arise from the pre-existing cells. Okay. Now let us talk about the scientists who have been involved in saying all this process, or else who have proposed the cell theory to us, right? Now it all started with a scientist called as Schleiden. The first scientist was Matthias, Matthias Schleiden. Matthias Schleiden, Schleiden, Matthias Schleiden, in the year 1839. Okay, the first scientist of cell theory, Matthias Schleiden, in the year 1839. What did he propose? He proposed that all the plants, okay, all the plants are composed of cells. Very simple. Okay, it was simple, but it took enough of his life to propose this, right? So Matthias Schleiden, the first scientist who proposed that all plants are composed of cells. Now the second scientist was Theodor Schwann. Now what did he do? In the next year, the immediate next year, 1839, I'm very sorry, this was 1838 and this was 1839. Okay. Theodor Schwann in the year 1839, he proposed plants, this person proposed animals are composed of cells. Okay. So let me repeat, Matthias Schleiden in the year 1838 proposed plants are composed of cell, and the immediate next year 1839 by Theodor Schwann, he said animals are composed of cells. Okay, right? Now there is an involvement of another scientist called as Rudolf Virchow. In the year 1855, approximately 17 to 18 years later, he added that all cells comes from pre-existing cells. All cells comes from pre-existing cells. Okay. So these were the three very beautiful proposals given by the three scientists for our cell theory. Okay. So Schleiden proposed plants are composed of cells, Schwann proposed animals are composed of cells, and Virchow said all cells come from pre-existing cells. Now what is the modern theory of cell state? Now apart from these, the basic cell theory, there is a modern cell theory also. Okay, so modern cell theory, it states that cell contains the hereditary information. Okay, so the modern cell theory adds up I'm sorry for that mess up. Modern cell theory. Modern cell theory, it states or else it adds up to our cell theory. Okay. So what does it add? Certain information like cells contain hereditary information. Now all of us know which contains this hereditary information. It is our basic DNA. Okay. And it also states that all cells have similar chemical composition. Okay. And energy flow occur within the cells. So these are the addition done by the modern cell theory. Okay. Now if I ask you, can you define me the cell theory now? So obviously you all will say that cell theory states that all the living organisms are made up of cells. All the living organisms are made up of cells, one or more cells, and it is the basic structural and functional unit of cells, and the cell arises from the pre-existing cells. So this is how you define the cell theory. All organisms are made up of one or more cells. All the living organisms are made up of one or more cells. Cells is the basic structural and functional unit of life, and cell arises from the pre-existing cells. Alright, hope you understood, and let's close it for today. In our next video, we will continue with prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. If you found this useful, subscribe and share with your NEET friends. See you.